Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Irfan Rasul the John Bull. Today I'll be talking about one of the fascinating topics, that is clauses. But before I get started, for those of you who are new to my channel, who have visited my channel for the first time, I would like to provide an introduction of myself and my channel. This is Irfan Rasul and I live in Srinagar, Kashmir. I've been training people in English language and grammar for nearly 15 years. I worked in different institutes here and I've done, alhamdulillah, a fascinating job. So let's get started, but don't forget to subscribe my channel and press the bell button below that in order to get notified every time when I upload a new video. So when we talk about the clauses, these are those, for example, parts of speeches. When you have a group of words and they have their own subject and predicate. When you have group of words having their own subject and predicate, this is simply known as a clause. This is simply known as a clause because whenever you have the group of words, sometimes despite having subject and predicate, they don't complete the sentences. But the condition is still same. You have group of words, they have their own subjects and predicates. This is a clause, whether it completes a sentence or not. That's a secondary case. We have different types of clauses. I'll be talking about that, inshallah, very soon. So you see, first thing, this topic really concerns the higher education. The students from 10 plus 2 and 11 should pay a greater attention to this video. So I talked about clauses. Clauses are basically group of words having their own subject and predicate. That's pretty right. That's pretty simple. Sometimes it's defined as group of words having a finite verb, non-changeable verb. That changes. Finite verb that changes. A verb that changes, that frequently changes according to the tenses or according to the subjects put before them. So you see, then when we talk about the types of the clauses, we basically have two types of clauses. One type of clause is independent clause. The independent clause is also known as principal clause, or it's also known as main clause, because this clause always completes its sense and can stand on its own alone, right? For example, one of the examples I can quote here is that I speak fluent English, right? You see this sentence, we have a subject, we have a predicate, so according to the definition of the clause, this is a clause. But you see, on the other hand, this sentence can stand on its own alone. This can complete on sense. It can work anywhere when you speak or when you write. So any sentence, any clause having a group of words that is the subject and predicate, whether it's a clause, but if it completes the sense, it is one of the types of the clauses, that's independent clause, or we also call it main clause, right? We also call this main clause, or we have the other name, that is the principal clause, right? Principal clause. So principal clauses or main clauses or independent clauses are totally independent. They can stand on their own, right? They can complete the sentences alone, right? You see, on the other hand, we have dependent clause. Dependent clause is a clause, when I talk about clause, means having their own subject and predicate. Remember, both of them have their subject and predicates. But you see, in this type of clause, what makes it different from the principal clause, that they don't complete the sentences. They can never stand alone. And they always begin with a subordinating conjunction. Let me just put an example over here. You see, what I told you. Now, if you have a look at this group of words, you see, here we have subject and here we have predicate. So according to the definition of clause, this definitely is a clause. But what makes it different from the principal clause or independent clause is that this has a subordinating conjunction here. This is also sometimes called, this is actually a subordinating conjunction. We know that conjunctions are of three types, so I don't need to talk about that. Subordinating conjunction, and this is also sometimes called as a relative pronoun. Remember this, relative pronoun. So you see, because this, if you just translate this sentence in your own mother tongue, you will just find out a strange thing. This will not work. It's not possible somebody speaks a sentence like this and then leaves, because he leaves a basic thing to be unsaid. He leaves a basic message to be delivered, right? He can't say what I told you and then leave. It's not possible because you left the task incomplete. So this is what we call dependent clause, or we also call this subordinating clause. Why? Because this has a subordinating conjunction in the beginning, right? Now if you see the subordinating conjunction, for principal clause there are no more types, but for subordinating clause there are types. And one of the types of subordinating clause is that, for example, one of the type is noun clause, the second type is the adjectival clause, and the third type is the adverbial clause. I will be explaining them briefly, not to detail. You see, when we talk about a noun clause is basically a type of subordinate clause having their own subject and predicate. Yeah, sure, starting with a subordinating conjunction. Yeah, that's right. But they work as nouns. That's why they are known as noun clauses. I can give you a small example. You see, Sarah is known to everyone. You see this? We have a noun here. This is noun as well as subject. And we have the predicate here. So this is a clause. And if you see, this is actually a principal clause. This is actually a main clause. This is actually an independent clause, right? Because this gives a complete sense that Sarah is a girl that everybody knows, right? But you see, I want you to pay attention to this word because this is a noun. Remember one thing before I continue. When we divide a sentence into fragments or parts, it has three parts, three places. Number one, number two, number three. Number one and number three is always taken by nouns. Inshallah, I'll be talking about this separately in a separate topic. I can't drag this unnecessarily long. So you see, so Sarah basically is a noun here, right? No doubt about that. It's pretty simple. But see, if I replace the word Sarah with all this subordinating clause, right? Let's see how it makes the sense. What I told you is known to everyone. This looks really fabulous now because when this clause was all alone, this was not giving a correct sense. This was not giving a perfect sense, a complete sense. But now when it came with this, it gives a perfect sense. It becomes like this. For example, what I told you. Now you see, what I told you is known to everyone, right? The part that was answered here is completed by is known to everyone. Now you see, this is complete, totally complete in sense. This doesn't lack anything now. But I want you to pay attention to this. This is a subordinate clause because we already discussed it here. So this subordinate clause takes the place of Sarah. That was a noun. So since this subordinate clause take a place of a noun, so this subordinate clause is known as noun clause, right? I hope this is pretty simple to understand. So when any type of subordinate clause takes the place of a noun and works as a noun, so it's a noun clause. When Sarah was here, Sarah was a noun and we labeled it as a noun. So same is the case, and this subordinate clause works as same as Sarah. So this is a noun clause. Despite we can use this in different places. For example, we can use it as an object of the verb. We can use it as an complement of the subject. We can use it as an object of the preposition. But I have no time to define everything about that. Inshallah, I'll be talking about these noun clauses, adverbial clauses, and adjectival clauses separately. But here I'll provide a little introduction about these. So noun clauses we finish. Then we talk about adjectival clauses. Adjectival clauses. First, we need to just understand one thing. Unless we know what adjectives are, we cannot be able to understand the adjectival clauses. So, adjective, we know that a word or more words that may modify a noun is known as an adjective. So, similarly is the case here. So, it's a type of a subordinate clause. Adjectival clause is a type of subordinate clause that works as an adjective or that modifies the noun. Let's see how it does it. See, I'll write an example here. I know the boy who stole my pen. Now you see this. I know the boy. When I talk about the sentence, I know the boy. You just know that boy is only a boy. No more information about the boy. But when I talk about the boy who stole my pen, now that boy is added with a particular piece of information. It's not a common boy like it was before. Now it is a boy that stole my pen. So now this whole clause from who up to pen is working as an adjective. It's adding something to the meaning of this boy, the noun. So this is an adjectival clause. And one more important thing, this adjectival clause is also known as relative clause. Why? Because they always begin with a relative pronoun. Relative pronouns like who, which, whose, whom, when, where, that. And then we finally talk about the adverbial clauses. Adverbial clauses are the type of subordinate clauses that works as an adverb. That works as an adverb. An adverb, we know it's a word that adds something to the meaning of verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. And one of the example I can quote orally because I don't have much space on the board. So you see, I get a better crop. It's a principal clause whenever it rains heavily. So you see, whenever it rains heavily is basically a subordinate clause because it began with the subordinating conjunction. That's whenever. So it's a subordinating clause, but it is adding something to the meaning of verb get. I get a better crop. When I get. So it's attached to the get. Get's a verb. So when something adds something to the meaning of a verb, it's an adverb. So since this is a whole clause, adding something to the meaning of get, that's verb, it's an adverbial clause. Hope you liked today's class, and inshallah, I'll be uploading more videos very soon. I was busy in my classes these days, so couldn't upload any video. But I'm really eager to upload more and more videos just to help my students and people who are in need of English. Thank you.